Hey everyone, Nick from Mossy Creek with this week's fly fishing forecast. Today is March 27th. We are finally kind of at the end of the month, looking at spring. April's coming quick, and the weather looks like it's changing like that as well. So this week looks pretty consistent finally. We've been super cold, super hot, up and down. Looks like we're gonna get a little bit of consistency from here on out. So the rest of this week looks like still lows kind of in the mid 30s, highs in mid 50s all the way through Saturday. But looking into the 10-day and into next week, it looks like we're pretty much at like lows into the 50s, highs into the 70s from there on out. So spring weather's coming. Looks like it's going to stay. Hopefully we're done with the quick cold snaps, and that just means good for the rest of our fishing. So we're getting a little bit low on water just kind of across the valley. We didn't end up getting a whole lot on Friday. Looks like not huge chances for rain the rest of the week. Friday and Saturday, they're calling for a little bit. Still too far out to see how much we're going to get. But honestly, kind of at this point, we're going to want as much as we can take from here on out. A lot of those mountain streams are going to start to get a little bit lower, particularly some of the smaller drainages. So streams like Payne Run, Madison Run, Ramsey's Draft, Upper North River, some of those places are going to start to get a little bit skinny. I would recommend if you do any brook trout fishing, take advantage of this weather, but maybe hit some of those bigger drainages like the Dry River, the Rapidans, some of those places that tend to hold a little bit more water. You know, brook trout, a lot of people, talk about how, unselective they can be at times, right? They can be pretty opportunistic fish, and I think some people just kind of assume that they're not very spooky or smart because of that, and that is not the case. Those little brook trout are smart fish. They can be extremely spooky, especially in low water conditions. And so as water starts to fall a little bit, if we don't get enough rain to keep us bumped up here for the next little bit, really pay attention to how you fish those streams. Take your time, approach from downstream, stay low, really be mindful of the water that you push when you're wading. I think that's something people don't often think about, especially like the Dry River where we fish a lot. We have really, really long runs and big pools that you can fish. And, even if you hop in from the tail seemingly a long way from where you see fish rising, that wake that you push, if you're not careful when you're wading, can put a fish down pretty quick. So be especially mindful with this lower water. Take your time, sneak around, fish longer leaders, be stealthy, and you're going to find that with those brook trout, you're a lot more successful. Dry fly fishing is still going to get better and better throughout. We're seeing, quills, some of those caddis. A lot of our bigger mayflies will be coming here in the next few weeks for the spring creeks. The sulfur kind of into April, into May is typically when it's pretty peak. That kind of kicks off the bigger mayflies on our spring creeks. So keep an eye out for that. I was on Mossy Friday with some people, and there were a lot of caddis hatching, a lot of tan caddis. Fish were jumping out of the water often. I would have customers fishing and a fish would like jump over their dry fly or their indicator or whatever it is. It's really easy when you see that to like want to tie on a dry fly immediately thinking they're sipping off the surface. But if you see fish like launching out of the water like that and not just sipping on the surface, oftentimes they're actually eating emergers as they're working up to the surface. So especially with those caddis hatches, like the jig caddis pupa that we carry, some of the puparazzis, the nitro caddises, some of those kind of emerger style patterns are very effective. If you see fish chasing up to the surface, go subsurface. Even skittering a caddis with a little nymph off the bottom can be real effective. So don't be afraid to kind of mess around with that. The warm water streams, the Shenandoah River, the James, some of those bigger rivers are really starting to trend towards kind of our spring fishing. Waters are starting to warm up, especially next week when we get 50-degree nights and 70-degree days. That's where we're going to really get some of those temperature raises. When your temperature average is 60 degrees, that's when we start to really see stuff rise. So fish are going to be hungry approaching the spawn. For the smallmouth, still probably in a little bit of the deeper water, so fish slow, fish deep. If you're fishing fly, don't be afraid to either fish like long leaders and really heavy clawdads, or even versa leaders and sink tips to try and get those flies down a little bit. Musky are going to be coming right into the spawn for the month of April, so we're just about done fishing for them. We're going to let them do their thing and get back to them a little bit later in the spring. And then through the rest of the valley, we still have some really good delayed harvest and stocked waters. The whole kind of North River drainage is in really good shape and has gotten a lot of fish. The gorge section was stocked. The delayed harvest was stocked. Elkhorn Lake was stocked. Upper North River was stocked. So really that whole stretch of water through there has fish in it, you know, if you want to go fish some of those. And then, like I was mentioning, even some of the upper North River for brook trout fishing, if we keep good water, should be pretty good. So spring's looking good. We're as excited as always. I'm in the wader and boot room. This is kind of the time of year for that. So if you need any help getting fitted, we've got a lot of the new spring styles. We're happy. You know, waders and boots are one of those things that you're going to fish better and you're going to enjoy the day more if you're comfortable. And so if you're in the market for that, or even thinking maybe you're wearing stuff that doesn't fit, come in. We'd love to spend time with you and even just try stuff on and try and get things fitted, because that's a big part of enjoying the fishing this time of year. As always, give us a call if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week.